When will Tesla have an Nvidia moment when it comes to the financials, when it comes to the stock price, and when it comes to the overall valuation of the company? That's what Gally asked on X, and Elon Musk replied back to him saying that there's two ways that this is going to happen, and it's going to happen both times. The first wave is when the market realizes that this FSD subscription thing is increasing and most of their profits and profits and margins are coming from FSD subscriptions and Robotaxis. The second one is humanoid robots. When there's a mass scale of that, that's when Tesla will have an Nvidia moment. But guys, let's just step back for a second and let's discuss what the heck is an Nvidia moment, right? Because we keep talking about an Nvidia moment. Before it was a Tesla moment, then we have an Oracle moment, now we have a Palantir moment. What is this Nvidia moment that we all are pretty much sticking to compared to everyone else? Well, an Nvidia moment is when the market realized and investors realized, and mainly Wall Street analysts realized, that the earnings of the company is much stronger than what they anticipated. And as a result of that, they changed their future projections of the stock, future projections of the earnings, hence increasing the valuation of the company, hence stock going flipping vertical. We can see it in the stock price right here for Nvidia. We can see it all the way back in December of 2023 or January of 2024, where the stock literally just shot up 80% in 3 months. And then it just went up from there. I mean, that's how Nvidia became the world's most valuable company. And it literally took 2 years for that to happen, less, 18 months for that to happen, only because the market got surprised by how much profits and how strong these guys are growing, despite the fact that Jensen and the team mentioned many times that, hey guys, we're working on it, this is what's going to happen. But Wall Street didn't listen. And when they didn't listen, and when they performed, the stock went vertical. And that's called an Nvidia moment. Tesla had the same thing back in 2020 when the market realized that EVs are a thing. When the Model 3 actually made Tesla a profitable company, the stock soared, and that made Tesla worth 20x within a year. That's called a Tesla moment. Palantir had a similar thing in the past couple of years. Once market realized that these guys are actually they're going to be profitable much sooner and they're going to grow much faster, they also went up about 15 to 20x within a year or two. That's called a Palantir moment or an Nvidia moment. Similarly to an Oracle. Look how insane that chart is recently when it dipped. Back in, it was just this year too, when it went down to 130 bucks. And then when they showed a crazy amount of profits and how fast they're going to be going, the stock went up literally 100% in within just a few months. That's called an Nvidia moment. The question is now, when is Tesla going to have this Nvidia moment? When is Tesla going to soar up, doubling within a year, 5xing, 10xing within a year? Because that's something that Tesla does. That's how it trades. And that's what we're going to do today on this chart. Now, of course, it's not financial advice. It's how I think things are going to happen and how things are going to play out and how I think it's going to be. Now, Tesla is a bit different than other companies because Tesla, because of Elon, because of the massive retail space we have, a lot of Wall Street analysts are kind of listening into these guys and they are taking some of their homework, some of my homework, Sir Basher, Joe, and actually giving a higher multiple because we see what's coming and Wall Street does not really want to be surprised on how they were with Nvidia. I don't think we're going to see a massive surge like how we did back in 2020 with Tesla, how it 20x in a year. I don't think that's going to happen, nor do I think it's going to be similar to Nvidia where it's 10 to 15x within a year as well. However, a Tesla moment here or an Nvidia moment here for Tesla would be 2 to 3xing within a year. Maybe 4xing within a year. I mean, the market capitalization is massive anyways at 1.4 trillion. If you want to 20x that, that's going to be 20, 30 trillion. And I don't think that's going to be possible. So a Tesla moment or an Nvidia moment here for Tesla would be a maximum of 5xing. So keep that in mind. So let's get down to the chart. Smash that like button if you guys haven't already. Hit subscribe and let's flipping go. So here is the chart from now to 2030 on how I think things are going to play out in terms of revenue, profits, in terms of how many vehicles they're going to deliver, services, credits, leasing, Tesla bought, Robotaxi, and obviously FSD subscription as well. Now, what I did here was a little bit different. I segregated the average selling price with the average selling price adding on the FSD. This makes more sense for the revenue and for the profits, and we get more of an accurate number. This way, we get to see how much of a percentage are people going to opt in for the FSD? That is very important. You guys can see in the average selling price, this is without the FSD in 2026, starting at 36,000. Now, of course, I think it's going to be more than that, but keeping it conservative because the cheapest model right now is the Model 3, the standard Model 3 at 36,000. So I'm going to keep it at 36,000 for in this case, even though I think there should be a bit more, but keep it conservative. Now, of course, $8,000 on top of that is the FSD with a one-time fee. There's also subscription, but this is extremely hard to calculate unless Tesla segregates this in their income statement. Then we can calculate it backwards, reverse engineer it in a way to see how they calculate that. But in the meantime, what Tesla does in their average selling price is that they already add the FSD to it. And so that's what I did here as well. And it makes sense because in 2025, the average selling price for cars is around $40,000. So when you take the average with the 36,000 and 44,000, I'm saying for 2026, there's going to be only 15% that gets sold with FSD, meaning that 285,000 vehicles get sold with an average selling price of 44,000. The rest of it gets sold at 36,000. And so we get an average selling price of around the 40,000. And of course, every single year going forward, that gets decreased as well because of course, COGS go lower, the price will go lower. We have Cybercab entering in at a price point of maybe in the high 20,000s. So that all needs to be taken care of. That all needs to be added to the valuation. One thing is to note here that I did not change the FSD cost. I'm keeping it at 8,000 fixed. I'm pretty sure by 2028 and above and beyond, that's probably going to increase to 12,000 or probably get eliminated altogether and just focus on the subscription. And the subscription is probably going to be like $199, $299 a month. This makes it a bit more complicated. So we're keeping it simple and conservative as we usually do. On top of that, you guys can see vehicle gross profits here, 16% and 35%. As you guys pretty sure are assuming, 16% is without the FSD and 35% is with the FSD. And these numbers do increase as well because COGS do go lower and Tesla can manage in a way that they can decrease the cost and as well increase the margins as they go on to the future. And of course, we go from 35% to 40% after 2028 because this thing becomes more profitable. This thing should be closer to 60% in my opinion, but keeping it at 40%. So to clear in the air, these are the numbers on how I did it to get more of an accurate number for that. Just to finish off the vehicle deliveries for 2027, I'm thinking 20% of all cars being sold, around 2.3 million, 460 of them get sold with FSD. So with an average price of $43,000 and 35% gross profits, and the rest is the other one. In 2028, 25% get sold with FSD, which is over 700,000. 2029, 30%. I think there should be more, but again, keeping it conservative. About 1.1 million get sold with FSD. And by 2030, when they sell 5 million vehicles, I'm thinking 35%. I mean, this should be close to 80%. At this point, if we're in 2030 and version 14 is how it is, what we see right now, by 2030, the thing should be completely solved. We should have robotaxis everywhere, and you guys can see it in the chart here, $22 billion in revenue. That's about 500,000 robotaxis on the road. I think there should be 1 million. But again, keep this. This is so conservative, guys. It's not even funny. But again, I'm a conservative guy. What can I say? I'd be surprised to see that only 35% get sold with FSD. All cars get sold with FSD. I think majority of vehicles are going to be cybercabs. And of course, you can't buy a cybercab without the FSD. So this number should be closer to 80% in my opinion. But again, keeping things conservative. Moving forward, you guys can see the official gross margins, 18.9% going all the way to 25.7% for autos, including the FSD. So that is insane. And the reason why it's increasing is because of the FSD. If you remove the FSD, then we're probably going to see margins below 20% for sure. Robotaxi revenue, I'm thinking in 2026, about 10,000 of them are going to be on the road and collecting revenue. Now, I think there's going to be 20,000 by end of next year. But I think for the full fiscal year, 10,000 of them would be added to the revenue and profits, because I don't think we're going to get 20,000 robotaxis from January 1st, 2026 all the way to December 31st. I think 20,000 is probably going to happen at the last months of 2026. So if you take the average, I think 10,000 is a good number, a good solid number to do your calculation on as an average. And we get this number, $500 million in revenue and profits of 145 million, which is about a 33% in profits. In 2027, 50,000 robotaxis. In 2028, I'm thinking around 100,000 robotaxis, almost reaching $4.5 billion in revenue. 2029, reaching 250,000 robotaxis. And of course, 2030, reaching 500,000 robotaxis. Again, these numbers, double it. I'll make this available on Patreon so you guys can go ahead and do your own numbers and stuff like that. But again, I'm keeping things conservative. We have the Optimus bots here. I delayed it by a year. I'm saying that by 2027, Tesla could sell 50,000 of them at 50,000 a piece with a 10% gross profit here. And then in 2028, I think Tesla could sell around 150,000 bots at around 40K a piece, which is about a 20% margins here, about 1.2 billion. 2029, I think they could sell about 300,000 bots at 35K a piece and a profit margin of around 30%. And by 2030, I think they could sell around 800,000 robots in a single year. Elon's talking about he'd be surprised if they're not making 1 million or 1.2 million that year. But I'm thinking 800,000 to be sold at a price point around 25,000, 30,000, and a gross profits of 45%, reaching 10 billion, which is insane. I mean, let's see. I don't think anything's gonna happen in 2026. 2027 is highly likely, more likely for it to happen. So let's see what's going to happen. Again, Elon ain't gonna wait to get his 1 trillion or 25% in 10 years. He wants to get this thing as ASAP. So I'm thinking within the next 30, 40 months, we're gonna see that. It sounds wild and it's not added to this chart, but I'm just saying, right? We got energy as well growing massively, but I think this is conservative as well. We have operating costs, taxes, other income, including interest. We have revenue here next year at around over 110 billion, all the way to 2030 of nearly $300 billion, which is a sheesh moment. We have operating margin this year will probably end around 6% on the average. Next year, 8.3%, and then so on and so forth, close to 20% by 2030. Income gap next year 8.5 billion, and by 2030 nearly 50 billion. So that is a sheesh moment. Now let's see when, based on this, because I've been tracking the stock for some time, I've been tracking Tesla for over 5 years now. We have an idea on how this stock and how this company and the stock correlates, and we know how the stock behaves as well. It stays flat for a long time, then spikes, then flat again, and spikes. I think to a level that's possible. I think once you get a very good healthy increase in EPS, then I don't think we're going to see this sideways and jump. I think we're going to see a nice healthy increase in the stock price. So what could the stock price be? When will we see the Nvidia moment? That's the question. That is the question. So let's get down to it. Smash that like button if you haven't already, and let's make this flipping happen. So right now in 2025, we have another month to go before it ends. My price target is 575, but to be realistic, I mean, anything could happen. We could hit it. And if we hit that, that means that's a PE of 337, which is insane. Something really good needs to happen for this to be this, the PE to be this high, which is insane. Is it possible? I don't think so. I think around the 450s, 460s, I think that's more realistic to end off this year, which is a PE around 270, around a market cap of 1.5 trillion. So I'm going to keep it at that. But in 2026, now here's the interesting part about 2026. If we actually sell 1.9 million vehicles, and 15% of that, I think it's going to be more, but 15% of that is FSD, being sold with FSD, and we see Robotaxi at 10,000, then we could see a good, healthy, I don't want to see a jump in the stock, a very strong fundamental, concrete stability to the stock, because now we're getting some earnings to really justify the stock, because at PE of 270, that is insane. And the fact that Robotaxi is now growing and stuff like that, I think a PE of around 200 to 220 makes sense, which means a stock price of around 528 or a stock price of around 480 makes sense. A lot of people are calling for the stock to be around 700 next by summer, by flipping summer. That means a PE of around 300. That means either Robotaxis are increasing much faster than we think. That means energy is increasing crazy. That means Tesla's selling a whole bunch of cars. There's a lot of good stuff happening. And that could possibly happen. That could. But I think 2026 is more of a stability year for Tesla. 2025 wasn't, it was still jumpy here and there. But But I think 2026 is more of a solid and more of a stability year for Tesla. And I think around a 200 PE would be good. That means another year of flatness, but a good foundation on why the stock is valued around 1.5 trillion. I think that. But I think things will change big time in 2027 because we get two things happening here. One thing is that we get the margins first time going to double digits at 10.1%. That's one. Two, we get Robotaxi, 50,000 Robotaxis on the road, which would be a revenue of $2.2 billion. And that means we sold over or at a record of 2.3 million vehicles at a 20% FSD rate. Now, I think this is going to be more, in my opinion, but keeping it at that, that's a gross margin of over 20%. We're seeing the net income growing at around 30-40% that year. And we are seeing the first time ever the Optimus bots being flippin' sold at 2.5 billion for the first time ever. And of course, guidance will come out and guidance will say it. Elon will say that, yeah, we're selling bots, Robotaxi is growing at a record pace, energy is growing, the robots are going to continue going at a 50 or 100% rate for the next couple of quarters, maybe a few years too. So I think this will be the Nvidia moment. The question is, what would the stock price be here? I'm thinking this is the year where we will probably see Tesla stock hitting $1,000 per share. That means a PE of around $300 per share, and that's a stock price of $9.95. But I think the hype will increase this much higher, in my opinion. I think we could potentially see the PE going as high as 350, which is a stock price of nearly $1,200 per flippin' share. That is insane. That is insane, guys. So imagine stock price at 480 and next year tripling, nearly tripling. That is insane. I mean, this could go even higher. I mean, 400 PE of around $1,300 per share, depending on how insane the market is going to be. Depends on how insane the hype is going to be and what investors are seeing that, oh my God, Tesla just sold robots. They just sold 50,000 robots, and they're talking about selling around 300,000 next year or 200,000 next year, and then 1 million by 2030. Like, we gotta price this in now. So this is why I see 350 happening, and this is why I can see $500 per PE going as high as that. Now, let's calm down here. You guys should not call me crazy. This has happened before multiple times. I mean, Palantir right now, the PE is 700. Nvidia right now, the PE is around like 40-50. And, you know, Tesla had a PE of as high as $1,800 PE, not $100 per share, but 1,800 PE in the 2020s. And that's only with EVs. Will we see that number again? I don't think we'll see 1,800. I don't think we'll see the thousands PE again with Tesla, especially how big of a market cap it is. I think we'll be lucky to see 500. And I think we probably will see 500. But again, I'm going to say 350 as the max here, in my opinion, because my brain is just can't accept this for some reason. But nonetheless, from market cap of 1.5 trillion to nearly doubling that is insane. 2028, of course, we're seeing the numbers go up like crazy. Look at the net income increasing like 40%. Again, the PE for Tesla will be in the triple digits until the mid or early 2030s once we have massive amount of profits and revenues from the Robotaxi and the bot bringing down the PE and justifying the stock price. That's not going to happen in this decade. That's going to happen next decade. So be prepared to continue seeing triple digits unless there's a big swan event, the stock takes a dive because of whatever reason. But if there's no black swan event, prepare to see the stock, the PE in the triple digits. It's not going to leave anytime soon. But in 2028, if we get these numbers, margin growing 30%, could you imagine that? That's a PE of around 275, justifying the stock as well, and also pricing in some stuff as well. That's a stock price of $1,400 per share and a market cap of 4.5 trillion. By the way, I think a stock split is definitely going to happen by 2027. No doubt about that. And then we have 2029 operating margin from 13.1% to nearly 16%. We have a $10 billion slapped onto the net income gap, not the non-gap, just gap. We're reaching over $200 billion in revenue. Man, that is crazy. I'm going to lower the PE again as well, around 250 PE. That's a stock price of nearly $2,000 per share and a market cap of almost 6.5 trillion. But here is 2030. I think 2030 is going to be the big year. I think if Tesla sells 5 million vehicles, if they have robotaxis, 500,000 robotaxis, if they sell 800,000 robots with energy being $56 billion, with a revenue almost reaching 300 billion and a net income gap of nearly 50 billion and a operating margin increasing nearly 4% in a single year, then I think a P around 200, 225, maybe 200 at the lowest, but 225 around there, because there's still a lot more growth to be baked in. We still have a lot to go. That's a stock price of nearly $3,000 per share and a market cap of $9.6 trillion. So just sit back and look at this. It's hard to see when exactly is Tesla going to have an Nvidia moment, because it looks like after 2027, every single year seems to be an Nvidia moment for Tesla. I'm being serious. Here's what the stock price looks like. We can see it being flat from 2018, 2019, then it goes up in 2020, 2021, then goes back down to 2022, then, practically from 2021 all the way to 2026, it stays flat. And then 2027 is when we get that Nvidia moment, but then it continues to go up high. Like, that is insane. That's the thing with Tesla, is that once you get this steady increase, look at the EPS, by the way, EPS gap, 1.7, $1.07 to $2.40, and then $3.30, and then $5, and then $8, and then $13. Once you get this increase in EPS every single year, and you see what the growth is like, every year is an Nvidia moment for Tesla. We could see the market value going up, and the PE still needs to contract. That means there's going to be more earnings to this. And don't forget, guys, as Cern Basher said, as Elon agreed to, an EBITDA of $400 billion. At 2030, with a net income gap of 48 billion, I think that would be an EBITDA of maybe 70, 80 billion. So you could imagine the growth. That means there's another at least 4x to go to hit that 400 billion. So when will Tesla have an Nvidia moment? I think after 2027, but then every year after that is going to be the Nvidia moment. Again, not financial advice, but based on the numbers and what they're doing and what could potentially happen. But Robotaxi and the bot are the main drivers here, right? We could see this happening. This is a sheesh moment, and I need more Tesla stock. That's all I need. And you know what? Cern Basher broke it down so nicely on how Tesla could be valued at 17 trillion. I got here 9.6 trillion. He's talking about 17 trillion with the $400 billion in EBITDA that Tesla needs to do for Elon to get his 25%. Check this video out right here. But guys, comment down below. What do you guys think? What do y'all think about this? When do you think Tesla will have its Nvidia moment? I'm very curious to know. Check out this video here as well. It's really interesting. The breakdown is amazing. None other than Cern Basher. Subscribe, guys. Become a channel member. And I'll see you guys in Toronto. I'm catching a flight right now. So I'll see you guys in Toronto. Let's go. Sheesh.